Eyewitness News presents Newsmakers with your hosts Jane Ann Bugda and Andy Mahalchik.
Hello and welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Every day, the Ronald McDonald House in Danville opens its doors to families of hospitalized children. The caring staff makes it a home away from home. Today, we'll learn more about the Ronald McDonald House, its staff, and how you can be part of the house that love built. I'll introduce you to our guests, and our discussion will begin when this edition of Newsmakers returns right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Our topic today, the Ronald McDonald House, specifically the Ronald McDonald House in Danville. I am joined by my guest, Janetta Reed, who is the Director of Development and Communication for the Ronald McDonald House in Danville, Renee Geringer, who is a Development Officer there, and Michael Turles, who is the Executive Director. I want to thank you for joining me today and giving me the opportunity to let our viewers know about the Ronald McDonald House. I heard Michael speak a couple months ago about the Ronald McDonald House. You impressed me, you inspired me. I thought, oh, I know about the Ronald McDonald House, and there's so much we don't know. So thank you for joining me today to share your story. Let's start a little bit about the Ronald McDonald House as a whole. How did the idea of the Ronald McDonald House come about?
Well, first, thank you for allowing us to be here and for allowing us to get our message out. And there were some key individuals that started the original house in 1974, and that would be the Philadelphia House, which was the original Ronald McDonald House. The main individual who had the vision for this home away from home was a pediatric oncology doctor by the name of Dr. Audrey Evans. She had this vision of a home away from home where families could stay together as a family unit and in turn take care of themselves so they're able to take care of their child. At the same time, unfortunately, one of the members of the Philadelphia Eagles, Fred Hill, and his wife Fran, their daughter Kim was diagnosed with leukemia. The Philadelphia Eagles were rallying around them, and they were doing fundraisers for medical research. The general manager at that time, Jimmy Murray, he met Dr. Audrey Evans and learned of her vision. And he reached out to McDonald's. He knew some people within the McDonald's organization, and he had an idea. At the time, the Shamrock Shake promotion he had heard was coming on board, and he had this thought of a portion of those proceeds to come to this very worthwhile cause, Dr. Audrey Evans' vision. And McDonald's says yes. And so then they named the first house the Ronald McDonald House because McDonald's was the founding partner, a mission partner. And McDonald's has still stayed to be the founding mission partner. The local owner-operators are wonderful to the houses, to all the houses. They allow individuals in the community every single day to contribute to this worthwhile organization by dropping their coins in those coin boxes. And in addition to that, owner-operators, they will volunteer their services at the different houses via board memberships, in-house volunteerism. They'll rally their crew. But like anything, one individual, one organization really cannot support a mission such as the Ronald McDonald Houses, because each Ronald McDonald House is its own non-for-profit organization, as the Danville is. So we do rely on our community for both volunteer and financial support.
So how many Ronald McDonald Houses are there across the nation?
To date, there are 365 Ronald McDonald Houses. The majority are in the United States, but there are global houses, and that's over 48 countries.
And how about here in Pennsylvania?
We have 5. We have the original house, which started in Philadelphia. We have one in your backyard, Scranton. We have the Hershey, we have the Pittsburgh, and then the Danville house.
So tell us a little bit about the Danville Ronald McDonald House, how that started.
Our mission was similar to the Philadelphia house. Individuals way back in the 80s saw that families were not taking care of themselves. They were not able to take care of themselves. They were sleeping in their cars. They were did not have proper nutrition. They themselves, the parents themselves, were ending up in emergency rooms. And individuals from the hospital, the Geisinger Medical Center, had heard of this concept called the Ronald McDonald House from Philadelphia, and they brought that concept back to the Danville house. The first house was an old Victorian home, which opened up in 1981. but quickly outgrew that. We found out that at the end of each month we were actually turning more families away than servicing because it was approximately about 8 bedrooms. The board at that time elected to kick off a capital campaign because the existing building could not be renovated to expand, to build a new facility, and in 1988 the program was relocated to where we're at now, and it's a 19-bedroom facility. When families come through the door, they're greeted by a friendly volunteer. They come into a warm, home-like environment, not a hotel. They have a dining room, they have a well-stocked kitchen, well-stocked laundry room. We really take care of all their needs for them because the concentration is for them to be there for their child.
And I think anyone who's, who has a family member in the hospital knows what you go through, but, we cannot imagine what a family goes through when they have a child in the hospital for an extended stay. And then the Danville house works with the Janet Weiss
Correct.
Children's
That is the
Hospital.
service hospital we have.
And tell me a little bit about, again, with the Ronald McDonald, your association with the restaurants.
The restaurants really, what they allow us to do is to touch into the community via their customers. They can drop coins every day in the box, so it gets the word out. The owner-operators themselves are donors. They're board member volunteers. So McDonald's, as I stated, is the founding partner, but once again, they solely cannot help all the houses. So that's why we need the area community for both volunteer and financial support.
And talk a little bit about the criteria for a family. So if someone is at the Janet Weiss Hospital and they don't have a place to go, how do they find out about the Ronald McDonald House? And is there a certain criteria to stay there for a family?
Yes, and actually a lot of times families come in, whether it's via helicopter, via ambulance. Unfortunately, sometimes they believe they're coming in for a checkup and their child's admitted. So naturally their mind is about the child. But once they know the child is receiving the medical need, that their needs are being cared for, all the now what do we do questions happen. Where are we going to sleep? Where are we going to eat? Especially they're traveling great distances, other counties, other states, sometimes other countries. And it's nice when a hospital staff member from the pediatric department will come up and say to them, are you aware there's a Ronald McDonald House? And they'll explain what it is. That's a place where, yes, you can shower, you can grab something, you can rest, but it's much more than that. It truly is a home away from home because in the Ronald McDonald House, they have a built-in moral support group. Only one parent knows what another parent's going through. It could be totally two different illnesses. And we've always seen that in our facility, our home, that families come from all different walks of life, but when they're in a Ronald McDonald House, they actually become a subculture amongst themselves. Different ethnic background, different financial background, but they come together. And there's also, families develop friendships that last well past the house. There have been times where families will come back, they're back home, their child's doing great, and they will say, oh, do you remember when so-and-so was here? Their child's doing great, and we'll say, well, how do you know? They will say, well, they spent Christmas vacation with us. They moved now in our area. So it's really nice to have that because even if they could afford to stay in a community hotel, they wouldn't have that built-in moral support group.
And talk a little bit about how many people walk through your doors every year.
It's really staggering, the amount of people that come through our rural home. It's over 12,000 people. In 2016, it was 12,625 guests. In 2015. In 2016, it was 12,063 guests. So we average in that 12,000 arena. And besides the overnight accommodations, we also have what's called a day guest. That's a family that is staying inpatient with the hospital. The child has improved into the medical status that mom and dad are comfortable, but they need that respite away from the hospital. They may not have funds to go to the cafeteria. They can come over during the operating hours of the house. They can have breakfast, lunch, dinner. They can sit and watch TV. They can sit, just be alone with their thoughts in our sunroom. They can do laundry. And it really is a respite area for them, for those, whether it has been a pediatric family or adult family, those people have gone through and had it, like you said, someone in a hospital. They fully understand that you're kind of in a fishbowl when you're in the hospital. In the waiting rooms, they're not too private. So the pediatric families can come over if they are staying in the hospital, and they can have a quiet place to sit be alone with their thoughts. Or a lot of times they're looking for camaraderie because maybe their support mechanism is back at home. And so we have wonderful dedicated volunteers that will sit and talk with them.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk a little bit about the cost. Is there a cost to stay there?
We ask a nominal donation of $15 a night, and that is per room, not per person in a room. However, that donation can be lowered or waived. No one has ever turned away the inability to pay. In 2016, approximately about 42% of our families could not afford the $15 a night donation, and that's fine. They still have full access to all our services.
And what is the average stay for a family, or is there not an average stay?
Yes, actually, an average stay is approximately about 7 days. However, we have families that have stayed one night. We've had families that say 6, 7, 8 months consecutively without going home. Their child is in that state, and they may live a great distance.
I find it interesting that when you mentioned about the support that the families find of each other there, that is a great comfort, because you're right, when you're in a big hospital setting and you don't know anyone, but probably finding that other mom or other dad that you can sit there and talk to is wonderful.
It's amazing because some of our families, they will wait for each other and walk over to the hospital together. They may go to lunch together. We had a group of moms that stayed with us for quite a bit of time, and they just developed this bond, and they were there for each other. They would visit each other's children. They would make sure they would check in on each other, make sure each one of them was eating. So it's just wonderful to see. You hear all the negativity in the world, unfortunately, but in our line of work, we get to see so much positive. Not only how our families are dealing with, the worst possible time in their lives, but then our wonderful volunteers that are coming in and giving so freely of themselves.
I did want to mention that because, you do have a wonderful staff, which we want to talk about, but I want to talk about the volunteers. What do you need for volunteers? Who volunteers at the Ronald McDonald House? Tell us a little bit about your volunteers.
The volunteers at the Ronald McDonald House may be just college groups, it could be church groups, could be employers that send their employees for a day to volunteer at an organization that's for a great cause. They can come in, they can serve meals, they can come in, they can help clean. Right now we have Santa's workshop, so we have groups that are coming in and they're wrapping presents for us. We had a group that come in and help decorate the house, so there's different ways and different groups that get involved and come in and volunteer their time. There's also individuals that like to just give back and help families in a difficult time, so there's many ways that you can get involved.
So there's nothing too small or too large that you can do. So if there's a group, let's say, of senior citizens that want to come in, and you said prepare a meal, which is something that you wouldn't think of, but maybe somebody wants to prepare a meal, or high school students that can come in there. And you mentioned cleaning, and these are different things that maybe we don't think of as a way to volunteer, but that's some way that somebody can get back into the community.
Absolutely.
And I know you also have a wish list of things that you also need. Like, what are some items that you would need for the house?
What we really are going through a lot lately are the Cure Cake Cups. We were, I don't know if I can say the brand name on TV. Too late.
Coffee.
Coffee, thank you. We were very grateful we had one donated not only to our house but also our family one, which we'll be discussing. And the families just love it because it's quick. It's something that when they can come in, they can quick grab a cup of coffee, they can have a quick break and then back to the hospital, whether it's in the house or it's in the family room. So we go through a lot of those products, a lot of paper products, rolled towels. There are stable shelf life dinners such as macaroni and cheese and spaghetti that you don't need to refrigerate. Those items we go through the house and also at our family room as well.
And when and people can just, how would they go about? How do they contact you?
They can call the Ronald McDonald House at 570-271-6300, which is our main phone number, and they can ask for a copy of our wish list. And it's constantly updated still. And at that point in time, when we give them the list, we can also highlight the most important items that we are in need of at that point in time.
And I do want to remind everyone that we will have the entire wish list, and we have the phone number up on the screen, but we'll also have it on pahomepage.com or under the Newsmakers link. So if people are looking for something to do or something to volunteer, they can find it there. And you also have a number of fundraisers that go on throughout the year. So if someone wants to sponsor a fundraiser to help the house out, that's also interesting. That's something that they can do. I do want to talk about your staff because not everybody can do what you do. You know, you make a difference in people's lives. And, you know, sometimes when you're having a bad day at work, you can show it. But in your line of work, your staff is a different type of staff. Your staff are probably people that have to be there for a family that is going through a difficult time. Tell us a little bit about the people that work at the Ronald McDonald House in Danville.
We have a great group that work with us, as you mentioned. We have 6 administrative professionals that work, I guess, during the day, is what you would say. And we have 7 guest service associates that are our night and weekend staff members that are just fabulous. And you know, as we've mentioned all throughout, if it wasn't for our volunteers as well, helping to man the desk and answer phones and help the families, you know, we couldn't exist. So we have a great group, great bunch, and we're happy to be working with each other every day. It's really fun.
And you could always use more volunteers.
Always.
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 Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about how the house is funded, because it's built on love, but love doesn't always pay the bills. And we're also going to talk about Camp Dose. So you're watching Newsmakers. We are a proud recipient of 2 Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasting Awards for Excellence in Public Affairs Programming. Information on today's program can be found on pahomepage.com under the Newsmakers link. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda. The topic today is the Ronald McDonald House of Danville. I am joined by Janetta Reed, Renee Geringer, and Michael Turles, all from the Ronald McDonald House in Danville, and we're talking about the house. And now we're going to talk about the Ronald McDonald Family Room. And this is something different it's separate from the house. Tell us a little bit about the Ronald McDonald Family Room.
I think we're all excited about the family room. It's our new service that we just built this past year. It was just completed this past year. It's located inside the Geisinger Janet Weiss Children's Hospital. And really for us, what we were finding was there was a demographic of families that maybe we weren't able to serve. So families that were in a very critical situation that maybe could not or would not leave their child's bedside. But really needed some attention. The family room is actually a piece of the Ronald McDonald House in the hospital setting. So it's right down the hall from the PICU, right above the NICU, right in a prime location. And what it offers families is a chance, you know, to get some rest, to get something to eat, even to just walk away from maybe the beeping and the noises of the hospital setting, but to not have to come over to the house if they're in a very critical state, but to get that much needed rest. We also have 2 sleep rooms with the family room, so if they need some much needed sleep, they can be right down the hall from where their child is and get back very quickly. So what we also found was that it was hopefully eliminating that sleeping in the waiting room or sleeping in a chair next to their child's bed or sleeping in their car, which is what we were finding some families were doing just because they didn't want to leave, you know, their child's bedside. So this gives them another option.
And you said it just recently opened, right?
Just recently opened, yeah.
And I imagine you find a lot of people are taking advantage of it there. And
yes.
And you work with the medical staff at the hospital?
We do work with the medical staff, and they have been an integral part in planning this. Actually, before we were bringing the concept to the the Geisinger Medical Center, what we had done is we actually polled the families at that point in time on all the pediatric floors and said, if we can bring this room, which will be your room, into the hospital, what would you like to see? And everything, now we only had 1,100 square feet, but it was amazing what was done with that 1,100 square feet. And everything that's currently in the room was everything on their wish list. And it was just what Renee had stated.
And is there something that you need specifically for the room, Renee, that we could maybe have people, do volunteers help there too?
Absolutely. At the moment, the family room is open from 12 to 6:30. We'd love to extend those hours, and for that we need volunteers. We can always looking for volunteers, and just like at the house, we're always looking for things to help stock the kitchen. So snacks or items that they can grab and go pretty quick or heat up pretty quickly. And get back to their child. So,
okay, so there you go, another call out for volunteers. Now let's talk a little bit about funding. How are you funded for the house, for the room? Tell us a little bit about the funding.
The Ronald McDonald House is funded by donors, grants, and also fundraising events. Individuals can make a donation, or community businesses can make a donation by visiting the Ronald McDonald House website, rmhdanville.org. Click on the donation link and enter in the amounts that they'd like to donate. We are increasing our fundraising events for 2018, so we're pretty excited about that.
That's good, okay.
On,
What's on the horizon?
Well, our next big event is February 3rd. It's the Taste of the Town at the Bloomsburg Fairgrounds Industrial Arts Building. It's a night from 5 to 9 where guests can come out, enjoy some wine and spirits tastings, some delicious food, entertainment, and we also have basket raffles and some other things happening at the event.
And then your events go right on through the whole year.
They do. We will have a lot happening. You can go on to our Facebook page, Ronald McDonald House of Danville, click on the events tab, and look for information on our events. You can also find out how you can purchase tickets. We're also looking for sponsors for our events to help support them, because obviously without support from the community, we wouldn't be able to provide all the different things for the families.
And no event is, if someone wants to sponsor an event or wants no donations too small when you're looking for someone to, if someone's out there saying, I only have a little bit to give, but no donation is too small.
That's right.
Or too big, right?
That's right.
What else are you looking for in terms of for funding? Is there any other way that people can fund or can help sponsor an event?
Well, we get groups that like to do third-party fundraising, and that can be something simple, from a walk, a run, to a family event, to a night out on the town for adults. There's different ways that you can get involved simply by reaching out to us and asking us for your support, or running the event on your own and just asking for simple guidance. We have a lot of groups that do different things, and they like to have different types of support so they can manage the event the way they want to manage the event and help support our families.
And I will mention that we will have a link to your website on our website, pahomepage.com. There is your website. You can always find the events, and of course we will also help publicize them for you as well. We have about 3 minutes left. I want to talk about Camp Dose. A lot of people may not realize that the Ronald McDonald House is a proud sponsor.
Absolutely.
Tell us about the camp.
Camp Dose is an amazing place for pediatric oncology children. It is a place where, yes, their medical situations are cared for by the doctors and nurses that care for them at the hospital. They're up at camp, so they get their meds done and so forth. But that's not really the goal. The goal is to allow them to be children in an open environment, a comforting environment. They get to do things that typically they aren't able to do. They get to swim, rock climb. They have food fights. This is all things that, because of their illnesses, they weren't able to do. Up at camp, we have the 24-hour camp. That's the 4 or 5-year-olds that have not had the full year of school yet. They come for one afternoon, stay overnight into the other afternoon. Then we have the full week camp. That's the 5 through 17-year-olds who have a full year of school. But the specialness is also that each camper is allowed to bring one sibling with them, and they're just able to be children. And once again, it's the camaraderie. And we do different themes each year. We make it fun for them.
And is there a criteria or a cost for the camp, or could someone sponsor a camper?
Absolutely. We always take donations for Camp Dose because we do not ask the campers to pay anything, or the siblings. So absolutely, if somebody wants to donate to Camp Dose, they can reach out to the Ronald McDonald House of Danville.
And When do they sign up for camp?
What happens is that goes to the pediatric oncology department through the hospital, and we start taking applications somewhere early part of the beginning of the year, but that does go through the hospital.
And how long has Camp Dose been going on for?
It's about 36 years.
Wow, 36 years.
Yes.
So that's been quite some time
Yeah,
now.
it was the year after the house was established. We established that program. And you probably see a trend with our organization that we're never standing still. The house was established, then we established a day guest program, we established camp, now the family room. We're there to help the community that supports us. And so we're always seeing whether we can better our program and improve our program. But in order to do that, we need the financial help, and we also need the volunteer support.
And we have about 2 minutes left. I just want, what does the future hold for the Ronald McDonald House in Danville?
Oh, it's open. It's wherever the community needs us. We will be there to help families with ill children.
And if someone's watching and if a family's in need how do they find out more information?
They can go to our website as well. If they're at the hospital, they ask any one of the medical staff, doctors, nurses, desk attendants, and they will direct them to the Ronald McDonald House of Danville.
And ladies, I just want you to make one more pitch for your volunteers, because I know you really are you need volunteers.
Yeah.
We do need volunteers, and volunteers can be young kids to adults, and they can help with events, they can help at the house. Any way, shape, or form, volunteers are very important to the success of the house.
I just also like to say thank you to our current volunteers that we have. We have some volunteers that have been with us 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, maybe even just a day. We had a couple sign up just this past week to help out. So again, thank you for all of those people that have been so gracious with their time.
So, and we want to thank you for giving your time and for sharing your story about the Ronald McDonald House.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we want to remind everyone that information on today's show can be found on pahomepage.com under the Newsmakers link. For everyone behind the scenes, I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Thank you so much for making Newsmakers part of your day, and we'll talk again next time.